Welcome to this training session on how to measure the environmental, social and economic impact of the actions implemented to prevent and reduce food waste within the framework of the Horizon Europe ToNoWaste project, which aims to reduce and prevent food waste and its environmental, social and economic impact. The objective of this session is to learn how to measure the environmental, social and economic impact of P&RDA actions. What is a P&RDA action? P&RDA equals prevention and reduction of food waste. Actions aimed at preventing food from being lost or wasted. They include changes in processes, logistics, consumption and legislation. P&RDA actions are those strategies implemented to prevent or reduce food waste at any stage of the value chain. They may include improvements in production processes, changes in logistics and distribution, promotion of responsible consumption, and regulations that encourage the optimization of resource use. Their aim is to minimize losses and maximize the efficiency of the food system. The ToNoWaste project develops several actions to prevent and reduce food waste. These include the design of innovative packaging that extends the shelf life of food, the optimization of supply chains to avoid surpluses, the use of technology to forecast demand, and the revaluation of products that do not meet commercial standards but are still fit for consumption. All these actions seek to reduce waste at different points in the agri-food system. Why is it important to measure the impact of P&RDA actions? It allows to know the effectiveness of the measures, identifies opportunities for improvement, justifies investment in sustainability. Measuring the impact of these food waste prevention and reduction actions is essential to evaluate their effectiveness and justify their implementation in each case. The evaluation of an action to prevent and reduce food waste is carried out in 5 phases. First, we analyse the food waste problem. Then, we propose a viable solution and test its real impact. Next, we collect and analyse information to assess the environmental, social and economic impact. Finally, we carry out an economic evaluation to assess the profitability of the action. Now, we will look at each phase in detail. The first phase consists of analysing the problem, that is, identifying where in the value chain waste is generated, why it occurs, and what factors contribute to it. Initial data is collected to establish a baseline of the problem, since without a clear diagnosis, it is difficult to implement effective solutions. Once the problem has been identified, a technically and economically viable solution is proposed. At this point, it is important to evaluate whether the proposed action is aligned with sustainability objectives, whether it can be implemented on a large scale without generating negative impacts, and the resources required for its implementation. To check the effectiveness of the food waste prevention and reduction action, the initial data should be compared with the data collected after the implementation of the action. In this way, it is evaluated whether the action has really reduced food waste and has been effective. If the amount of wasted food is significantly reduced, we can confirm that the P&RDA action is effective. However, if the data is not reduced, the strategy should be adjusted or new sustainable alternatives should be proposed. In the fourth phase, we gather information on the impact of the action in environmental, social and economic terms. With this information, we will be able to carry out the evaluation of the reduction of the carbon footprint and of resources such as water and energy, as well as the social benefits, such as improved access to food. A first economic analysis will also be carried out to check the feasibility of the action. This phase helps us to understand the associated benefits and potential challenges. Finally, we conduct an economic analysis to determine the financial viability of the action. Initial costs are compared with long-term benefits, including raw material savings, waste reduction and improvements in the company's image. From this analysis, we can then make informed decisions on the implementation of the action. Measuring the impact of P&RDA actions is key to their continuous improvement. The evaluation must be comprehensive, considering environmental, social, and economic aspects. These data allow us to identify opportunities, optimize strategies, justify investments in sustainability, and move towards a more sustainable and efficient food system.